Mario Party is a minigame-filled series that has stood the test of time. With the original game released in 1998 and almost 20 additions to the series since then, the game has evolved and changed greatly over the past 26 years. And, like any game series with many releases and a wide variety of minigames to play, it's attracted a plethora of people looking to complete the game as fast as possible. Speedrunners. This year, a new game was added to the lineup, Mario Party Jamboree. Now, there's no one way to speedrun this new Mario Party game. Speedrunners have created tons of categories, like the Party Planner Trek with varieties such as Any Percent or All Mini Stars, or classic All Boards, where the speedrunners are trying to complete every single board that Mario Party has to offer as fast as possible. There's even a category for one person playing as all of the CPUs on 4 controllers, which is beyond me. But none of these are what I'm focused on. The speedrunning category that I decided to participate in was all winnable minigames. This category is very self-explanatory. Complete all of the minigames that this game has to offer in the shortest time possible. Now, I'm not a speedrunner at all. I've actually never tried to speedrun. I've never submitted the time. I've never participated in any speedruns whatsoever. As a kid, I absolutely loved the Mario Party DS game, and I've played most of the new releases since then. So, I decided to make this the very first game that I attempted to speedrun. And since the 5 to 6 hour times on the all boards runs didn't look very incentivizing, I settled on all minigames. I decided to participate in the categories with motion games off and all CPUs set at master difficulty. Motion games just kind of hurt my wrist, and in the any difficulty category, most speedrunners set the CPU difficulty to easy, making it less about skill to win the minigames and more about skill teching out the CPUs to make them lose first. With my category and runs decided, I started my journey to try and get a world record in the all minigames category of Super Mario Party Jamboree. Since Mario Party Jamboree has such a massive assortment of minigames, there's some strategy used when picking the order. To save time and not have a good run ruined at the very end by RNG, speedrunners normally specifically pick the more luck-based games first. The worst of these luck-based games, in my opinion, is Waluigi's Pinball Arcade. Although pinball itself is based on some degree of skill, this version has a bit of a twist. The letters spelling Waluigi are located towards the bottom of the pinball machine, and hitting one of these lights it up. Lighting up all the letters before your ball is out of play, which resets them, grants you with some kind of power-up. This is the reason the game is so luck-based. You can pull a variety of power-ups from the letters. 2x points, squid ink on the other player's screens, extra point tokens appearing all around, and multi-ball. If you roll a squid, it's pretty much useless, since the Master Mode CPUs play even with the detriment to their vision, so you need to roll multi-ball at some point to guarantee a win. With so many balls on the board, it makes it much easier to hit all the letters, and stacking a point multiplier on top of multi-ball makes the game a near instant win. I got super lucky with multi-ball rolls this time around, and was able to narrowly scrape out a victory. The next of the complete RNG games was Gatekeepers, a game that has zero skill involved, and is instead a complete guessing game of which key fits which door. The turns take absolutely forever, and if a CPU guesses the right key before me, they take first place, and it's an instant restart. I failed a few attempts and the time waste was starting to look bad, so I decided to try one more time before restarting. I guess the heavens decided to bless me, and I was chosen to pick first, and pulled the right key with a 20% chance. Right there, baby, right there! Even with the guaranteed win, there's a lot of possibility to lose time here if the AI continually guessed the wrong key. Luckily, both Mario and Peach guessed the correct key insanely fast. Next, I headed to Hot Cross Blocks, one of my least favorite minigames in the lineup. You have to select one of 4 block options to grow your path, and if you guess the same as any of the AI, neither of you get the block. This one is also incredibly dependent on the choices the CPUs pick. Since they're on Master Mode, they will never pick a block that isn't accessible with their current path. That means that here, Peach would 100% not pick an option that led to the top or the middle lanes. I got super lucky and just decided to pick a pretty average block that put me in a great spot, since Luigi was the only other character with access to the top lane. He did end up catching up to me, but with an insanely lucky last choice gamble, I was able to tie him, which does still count as a win. Oh! Snag the flags is the next luck-based minigame, where the goal is to snag the most flags. If you let the cutscene at the beginning play out, you can see where the flags are spawned on the map, and route yourself accordingly. With a score of 22 and a lucky run where all of the flags were found quickly, I was able to take the win and move on to the next minigame, a 1v3. I like being on the solo side here, because you can normally knock the CPUs out before the 5-round limit, saving some time compared to just surviving all 5 on the 3-person team. I picked Luigi and Peach off quick, but Mario was a slippery little bastard here until I took him out on the 4th round. Next up was another 1v3 minigame, but for this one I prefer to be on the team of 3, because it's much easier to survive with how smart the CPUs are. He's trying to do some cheeky shit here. Ooh. It got a bit hairy at the end, but with another win in the books, I headed to Lost and Pound and switched back to the solo team. Here, your goal is to survive 3 rounds, where the solo player picks one of 4 directions to pop up at, and the CPUs each pick one of those 4 locations to hit with the hammer. This one is incredibly luck-based, and I got read like a book on my first attempt. It's fine. I almost restarted my second one after getting hit instantly. Now we'll gamble it. This turned out to be the right choice, because even though I got hit on the second round as well, I was able to pick the right location for the last round and take another victory. 1 and 4, 1 and 4, 1 and 4. The next minigame, I was back to the 3-person team. This one is incredibly easy, as long as I kept my character in between the switching platforms, so Mario couldn't drop a spiky ball on my head. Who do you think I am? Up next was an insanely easy minigame, where my goal was just to knock out all the CPUs with the bruiser I was riding, and as long as I could trap them in a corner and then spammed left and right, they'd go down without fail. With that done, I headed into Cage Catch, where the goal is for the 3-person team to catch the solo player in the cage. My strategy was to just swim in the corners, and then when the CPUs got the cage close to me, I'd swim up and down super fast to fake them out, move to the opposite corner, and repeat. The last of the 1v3 minigames is a pretty weird one. I opted the 3-person team here, and our goal is to avoid the one CPU with the crane grabbing our hamster balls. The tech that the CPU showed me here is to just run into the platform in the center and move the opposite direction of the wheel, which slows you down a ton and creates less time for Mario to grab us. I was able to win this one on the first try and move on to the next minigame. Luigi's rescue operation is a run maker or breaker. It's basically a free-for-all gauntlet of a few different types of minigames. The picture one is where the CPUs play the worst, so I can almost always get a decent lead on it. My bumpers being weird is not good though. If that fucks me up on a minigame, I'm probably gonna start crying. Odd one out is also pretty quick, but the tile one, the CPUs always play perfectly. You have to run over the tiles in the order shown on the wall, and sometimes they spawn in a bad order that causes a bit of a time loss, but I got lucky here. Clear the Path is one that's pretty luck-based. You have to move the barrels to open a path to the exit, and there can be anywhere from 1 to 3 barrel pushes you have to do to open the right path. I got pretty lucky with a great spawn and only 2 pushes needed, and now the minigame's just repeated with harder versions. I actually made a massive misplay on this picture one, messing up the order, which I had never done before, which meant I was neck and neck with the CPUs through the next couple of minigames. Ooh, that was not good. That was not good. That might have fucked me up. Great line there. This one's going to be a gamble on the final. I got a great barrel spawn, and it was time for the final minigame, the hardest one yet. The tiles on the floor light up in a specific order, and then you have to enter the same order into the machine by the door. The issue with this is sometimes the symbols are insanely hard to remember. I had some nicknames for some like Sideways House, Hex, and Nugget. I got insanely lucky with the symbols being easy to remember and was able to win with barely any time left to spare. Next, it was time for a basic race. There's very little opportunity to mess up since the CPUs don't run the best routes, and I never messed up this minigame. That is, I had never messed it up before this run. Would GIF my prime, but VTuber got me lacking, where I read chat for some mysterious reason and ran straight into a piranha plant and had to restart. Luckily, I was able to pull an easy win with my second attempt and move on. Now it was time for the boss fights. I had a super easy one up first. I actually don't know how it's possible to lose this one because you can just speed forward to grab the shells, and then when the whirlpool spawns, the CPUs are comically bad at avoiding it. Whoever has the highest points at the end wins, and the points are based on how many shells you hit the dragon with. Since I could easily get more and the CPU were just losing them to the whirlpool, this was an easy win. Thomas, are you in the living room? Okay, you're here. Can you run to the living room and grab me an extra right side Switch controller? Yeah, this one's breaking mid-run and it's pissing me off. Our only goal in this next minigame is to ground pound the bee the most times out of anyone. The issue was my right Joy-Con's A button, which was used to jump, was starting to not work. So I pulled out my special technique and called my roommate to airdrop me a new Joy-Con. Even with the broken button, I was able to win by using a strat where instead of jumping up to ground pound, you save time by just walking off the edge of the platform and ground pounding right as you start falling, so you don't waste time in the air. While my airdrop was on the way, I had a bit more difficult boss fight up next, where you have to shoot the mole with a cannon more times than anyone else. The issue here is that the CPUs play damn near perfect, so it's solely dependent on who gets the last hit. If you land the final attack during any of these boss battles, you receive extra points, and the +5 on this one can easily lose me the minigame. Luckily, I got a crazy lead and pulled last hit, securing another win. This was where things got dicey. In the middle of the run, I actually had to exit the entire game and pull a mid-run controller switch out, going all the way back to the switch menu to recalibrate the new one. Luckily, it didn't lose me too much time, and with my new controller, I moved on to the last selected boss fight. Bowser's Crash Out is notoriously a minigame where I do crash out, because the CPUs are so unbelievably locked in. The score is based on how charged up you are when you hit Bowser, and since the CPUs play so well, the score is tied for most of the run until the last hit, which gives +10, nearly guaranteeing a win for whoever gets it. I had a strategy where I'd tank some points and just hesitate fully charged until I could get the last hit in, but I timed it just wrong on this one and didn't get the last hit. Luckily, it went to Mario, who was in dead last, and I was able to complete this minigame first try, saving a ton of time from previous runs. The final luck-based minigame that we pick is a hellish one. All you have to do is choose a chest without bombs in it for 3 rounds. The issue is that on the final round, there's only a single chest without bombs, and they switch up at a damn near impossible speed to follow. I messed this one up way too many times, but got insanely lucky with an attempt where I lost track of the safe chest and just gambled correctly for the win. With all the luck-based minigames done, it was now time to start going through the rest of them at random. Rinks to Riches is a coin-based minigame, where you want the most coins when the time runs out, but it can be a little luck-based. Sometimes the CPUs play all around the rink and pick up coins crazy fast, but sometimes they crowd into a corner, so my strategy was to just play on the opposite side of the rink and try my best to grab these red coins and the huge snowballs whenever they spawned for some extra points. With a huge score of 27 for the win, I headed into the next minigame. This one's actually comically easy. The only strategy is to just play on the side of the platforms that the CPUs aren't on and grab any coins they miss. I even fell off on this one, but was so far in first it didn't even matter. All you have to do in this next minigame is cut the cookies faster than the other team. The solo player controls all the shapes with different buttons, and each person on the team of 3 gets their own cutter. Although I prefer to play on the solo side, as long as you're ready to cut your shape whenever it comes up, this one wasn't hard to pull another win out of. Next up was a memory minigame, where you can get asked 3 different questions about the balls with images that each toad is standing on. Which image there were less or more of, what image wasn't one of the 3, and what image a specific toad was standing on. My strategy here was to just repeat 2 of the toad's colors and images, and then remember the 3rd one with pure memorization skill. Some of them do get kinda hard, like right here where I was repeating yellow thwomp. The image it was standing on was actually a womp, and when I had to pick which image wasn't one of the 3, I just had to rely on the CPUs to guide me to the right guess. This final round can also be a little hard because it'll throw in similar images just doing different poses, but the final guess was just the green toad standing on a Yoshi, so I didn't even have to worry and got another win. Another coin-based minigame was up next, where the only goal is to jump and grab as many coins as you could. I actually switched my AI lineup because of this game, because before I had Bowser instead of Peach. The issue was that he actually had a bigger hitbox, so it made it way easier for him to get above me and grab more coins. So I switched to Peach to make it a little bit easier. This one is also slightly RNG based because the coin spawns can favor one platform or the other. Here they spawned way more on the right side. I ended up having to restart way too much after falling off twice and then getting another unlucky run, but was finally able to pull the win after the CPUs crowded onto the right platform and gave me free reign of my side. This minigame just consists of dodging sandwiches falling from the sky. It can actually be a bit of a time save if the CPUs get trapped in a corner and taken out quick like Mario did here. I guess the other CPUs decided they needed to avenge their fallen comrades, so they just stood under me so I couldn't jump anymore, and actually lost me this minigame for the first time ever. On my second run though, the time save was a huge help, with all of the CPUs dying with 13 extra seconds on the clock. Next up was Peach's Day Off, an absolute hellish 3-tier minigame. Honestly, I'll take this one early. This one, I am happy to burn this shitty, terrible fucking minigame. The first round, your goal is to carry these presents to the end without running into the bugs on the ground, which causes you to drop one of your presents. For some reason, the CPUs are out for blood on this one, since whenever they hit you, your character gets bumped back and stunned for a second. I ended up dropping 2 presents, but I knew that I had the chance to make the points back up in the next round. This one's basically a different version of hot cross blocks where each player picks a donut pile. The bigger piles are worth more, obviously, but if two players choose the same plate, they slam heads and no one gets it. My strategy here was to always go for the middle option. I didn't really care about the CPUs getting the left plate since it was worth so little, and there was almost always at least one CPU trying to get the biggest plate. In going for the middle one every time, I could best case grab some decent points, and worst case block another CPU from getting them. This was actually the best run I had ever had of this round, because I was able to get the middle donuts 4 times out of 5, putting me at a massive lead for the final round, which fucking blows. It's a very basic premise. A bunch of Candy Crush shapes are spread around the arena, and you have to deliver the one Peach has above her head to your cannon. This round is incredibly dependent on where all the candies spawn, since one side can get way more of one shape and put 2 of the players at a huge advantage. Peach absolutely robbed me of one of my gems, but I was still able to get 8 total for a 40-point bonus. With the added points from the donut game, this was a secured win. My random minigames queue seemed to want me to get all of the insanely long and tedious minigames out of the way first, because next up was Mario's 3-peat. Another 3-tier minigame, the first of which is a simple vine climb that is damn near impossible to lose. Second is bumper balls, which always gets run down to the 60-second time limit since the CPU never fall off. That is, they'd never fallen off before this run. I don't know what they were thinking, but this game gave me a huge point lead going into the final of the 3 rounds. Shy Guy Says is one of my least favorite games in this lineup. Not only is it the very last in the lineup, so if I lose I need to restart all the way from Vine Jumper, but I'm playing against CPUs. Computers. The whole point of the minigame is to watch what flag Shy Guy puts up, and put up the same one. He starts doing some fake outs as the rounds go on, and like I said, I'm playing against CPUs, so they know what flag he's gonna put up, they just pretend not to? Like Peach right here. She knew what that flag was gonna be. Regardless of the weird CPU activity here, I beat Mario for another first place, winning the minigame with a perfect score of 15. DK's Conga Line is a simple rhythm-based minigame, where you have to click the corresponding bumper on the controller when the icon lines up with your circle. This one can be a little iffy, because the CPUs can play really good sometimes and make it so I can only be off on my timing once or twice. For some reason, this run was blessed, because not only did I get 149, a single point off a perfect score, but the CPUs were dog shit this time around. Another minigame down. The Marble Race is a 1v1 minigame, where you just have to beat Mario through the maze of marbles, but you also have the option to punch and stun your opponent for a moment. If Mario gets a well-timed punch off, like he did here,
oh, he got cheeky.
It almost guarantees a loss, so I did have to restart once.
Fuck you, dude.
Next was a sledding minigame, where you have to detach from the penguin pulling you as late as possible without going too far and sliding off the edge. My strategy here was to just wait until I heard all the CPUs release their penguins, and do mine a split second after, always guaranteeing first place since they never got too close to the edge. With another win in the book, I moved on to the ass slapper minigame. This is a 1v1 where you're just trying to ground pound to launch the ass slapper into your opponent. The master CPU likes doing these weird fake out jumps to try and bait me into jumping, and there's probably some strategy out there to complete this one quicker, but all I do is wait until I see Mario start his ground pound animation and instantly jump to dodge the hand and have it hit him 5 times for the win. In this next minigame, you just have to dodge the clouds trying to blow you off the platform. This one can be a bit of a challenge because the CPUs love to jump on your head during crucial points.
It's like a 30-second loss. They actually just fucked me crazy there. It's fine. I got narrowly avoided.
Next up was a brutal one. It's a 1v1 against Mario where the goal is to get the highest on the pole before the time runs out. One side always has an advantage in the enemy cycles, like you see here where Mario's path opens up a split second before mine.
Mario's just ahead on the line, dude.
Because of this, I basically have to restart until Mario plays like ass, or I have a super lucky timing to get an advantage, which is exactly what happened here, allowing me to win with a 17-yard lead. The state cutting minigame is a 2v2 that I've actually never lost. It's super easy to get a 50-50 split down the middle, and the CPU normally mess up by 1 or 2%. I had a bad first cut, and the other team played the absolute best I've ever seen, but I was still able to pull out a tie, which is still technically a win. If you've ever played or seen anything about Mario Party, you definitely know this next minigame. Domination. Ludwig would definitely be disappointed in my performance here because I did lose to the AI once before I took the win my next attempt with a 96.
Okay.
Next up was a 3v1 minigame, where the 3-person team tries to avoid the 1 person hitting them with a hammer and stealing their coins. I normally like to play on the solo side here since the CPUs are super easy to hit, but even on the 3-person side, I was just able to bait Peach around the edge of the arena until time ran out for another win. Thwomp the Difference is a simple memorization game, where each thwomp blocks an image and slowly reveals it. My goal is to just spot the odd image out. It's not too hard, even though the scoring is based on who guesses first, and the CPUs are disgustingly fast at guessing as soon as the images are shown. I finished this one up with a perfect score of 25 and moved on to the next minigame. This one has a very simple premise. Just ground pound the fuses to put them out and survive longer than the other team. Mario can get a little dicey here because he loves ground pounding on my head and crushing me into the floor for a moment.
Oh my god, Mario threw that so hard.
But we were able to lock it in at the end for another win. The only tricky thing about Tricky Turntable is how absurd of a time burner it is. At the end of each round, the wheel turns a number of spaces that depend on how many players are standing on a button. I've never actually lost this one since Mario will almost always make an optimal button choice, and I just watch what he does and figure out the correct number of wheel turns we need. Even with how easy it is, this game takes up so much time with how long the turns take. Regardless, we got the win on our first attempt and moved on. Next up is a minigame where the goal is to just get as much of the paper covered in your stamp's color before time runs out. My strategy here is to just cover as much blank space as I can at the start, and then spend the second half of the round jumping to the places where I can cover the most of the CPU's colors. They normally crowd into a corner battling each other like they did here, so I took the win with a 28% score. Junior's Gauntlet is up next, and it's a rough one. It's basically just 10 minigames back to back, and whoever has the most points from surviving at the end wins. The issue comes from the randomness of the rounds. The first 9 rounds are pulled from a completely random pool of 19 possible games, and most of them are insanely easy. The problem is when the balloon minigame comes in. A little dude spawns in and everyone tries to pop the balloons attached to him. You get points for every balloon you pop, and if I get a bad balloon score like I did here, it's an instant restart because points are so hard to make up against the Master Mode CPUs. A lot of the games just take experience to remember where each wave is going to spawn, and even with that, I ended up getting hit when the bullet bills launched across the field. I was able to make up the point difference with a great balloon round, popping 2 balloons and tying for second with Peach. Luigi was still in first until the next round, where he got hit during some random event. With the score tied up, it was a tight race until round 9, where every other player got hit except for me, allowing me to pull ahead for the win after the final game. Next was a survival minigame, where you just have to run around a moving wheel, dodging obstacles, until the time runs out or everyone else dies. It's not hard at all, and the CPUs start really slowing down in the last 10 seconds, so this was another easy win. Wario's Buzzer Beater is a showdown minigame that basically combines Junior's Gauntlet and Thwomp the Difference, where there's 10 back-to-back rounds guessing different prompts with extra points for guessing faster. This one can be a huge threat to the run because of a few of the minigames. On Spot the Difference, I have to scan the 4 cogs instantly and just guess based on instinct because the CPUs never take more than 2 seconds to pick. After that, I got a few easy-ass rounds back-to-back. Dodging the bullet bills.
What's up with Peach's AI? She's sucking today.
Where will he stop? The Piranha Plant Length Guesser.
Coin difference on this is beautiful. I love seeing this because we are ahead even if it's double points.
And then it was on to round 5. For this minigame, rounds 5 and 10 both give double points, which means I cannot mess up or I could risk losing my lead to someone getting 10 points for a first place guess. It ended up being a faster version of Spot the Difference, and I got super lucky with a guess that I locked in before my brain even had time to comprehend it. With the double points, I had a massive lead at halftime, and I could really cruise through the rest of the minigame since I had such an advantage. I even guessed the final coin count wrong, but even with the point loss, the CPUs weren't even close to catching up.
That's fine. Doesn't matter to me.
After that win, bowling was up next. And I don't know if this one's supposed to be hard or I just suck ass, but Mario always gets 3 or less pins remaining, and I was getting some absolutely awful rolls. After restarting a few times, I was finally able to thread the needle.
That centers us out very nicely. Strike! Perfect.
With an incredible pace so far, I entered, in my opinion, the second hardest minigame in the lineup. The goal here is to get the most coins by bringing these chests to the surface. The big chests give 5 coins, the medium ones give 3, and the small ones give 1. The CPUs must be coded differently in this minigame because they are dead set on knocking me into one of the enemies whenever I pick up a chest, causing me to drop it. The most reliable strategy I found was to wait until the CPUs got right next to the surface and then swim downwards into them until the shark hit them and let me grab the chest right at the surface. It's actually super hard to do because if they get hit too far down, I can't get the chest or the shark hits me too. So I had to restart this one way too many times. I was able to get it to work on Peach right here, and then play super slow to get a second big chest. But I apparently didn't notice Sleeper Agent Mario, who beat my 10 coins with 11, which I've never seen happen before.
Mario has 11?
Luckily, a few runs later, I was able to grab a big chest and block the CPUs with it, allowing me to win with 10 coins and finally move on.
Okay, Jesus Christ.
Next up was a simple basketball minigame. Jumping at different heights lets you shoot at the different level hoops, and the gold hoops are worth 2 points. Now, I was in a super advantageous position here. Both of the corner players are at a huge advantage, because the golden hoops rotate one way for half the round and then reverse for the other. That meant for half the round, when the hoops were rotating right, I got first shot on all the golden ones, and I was draining threes. Another win. Hot Hot Hop was next, a minigame where all you have to do is jump over the rotating fireballs and dodge the fire monsters moving across the area. I won this one on my first attempt for a quick victory. Since we got so many of the difficult and lengthy minigames out early, we were in a great lineup of minigames, allowing me to chill out before the end of the run. The next of these was Lightwave Battle, where you just ground pound to send out a shockwave and jump to avoid everyone else's. I'm convinced this one is impossible to lose, and I snagged a win after only 9 seconds.
This is why I like burning the shitty ones first.
This next one can be a little bit difficult, not because of the actual game. The goal is quite simple. Just bounce on these little critters and avoid the spiky ones for 30 seconds. Easy enough. The CPUs are the real issue, because they love jumping on my head whenever I get near one of the spikes. Luckily, I didn't have to worry about this here because I won within 10 seconds. I have never seen this one end before the timer runs out.
20-second time save. Let's fucking go.
With a nice little time save there, I moved on to Fire Away, a survival minigame where you have to climb up this pole while avoiding the bullet bills. You can get super unlucky on this one and get trapped by an undodgeable bullet, but I won this one on my first attempt as well. Next up was Lumber Tumble. You basically just have to run along the path and avoid falling off or getting pushed off by the massive logs moving behind you. I've actually never seen the path be this insanely complicated, but regardless, this one was an easy win. With that done, we headed into our final showdown minigame, Daisy's Field Day. Your goal is to collect the most coins over 4 rounds. I never found this one overly difficult because on stage 2, you can make up a ton of points by just sitting in a corner the CPUs aren't in and getting all the coins. Daisy also throws these red coins out that are worth 3, and I snagged a few of those too. Round 3 is also insanely easy because as long as you're in the front of the pack, you can snag all the coins before anyone else, setting me up for a great win after round 4. Next up was the snowball fight. I prefer to be on the team of 3 here because you can snipe the solo player and end the round instantly, but Luigi low-key had an arm on him and Mario just seemed to lose all interest after me and Peach got knocked out.
Mario, what are we doing? Why are you running in a Are my AI fucking dumb?
Luckily, on the second attempt, Mario got his redemption.
There we go, made it up, 1 second minigame.
Now, up to this point, I had a pretty good line of minigames. I'd gotten every hard one done at the beginning. Every minigame but one. They need to make a category of this fucking speedrun without this bullshit minigame in it. Anything other than
Mario
this.
beat me by 1 fucking point. Beat me by 1 point. He beat me by 1 point. God, this one fucks me up so bad. This one's so fucking annoying.
This is such a fucked up minigame. This was the only minigame I had practiced off stream, and I knew it was my time to either lock in and do better on this than I had ever done before, or call the run here and now.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Oops. I'll play that, actually. That's not terrible. And we can make that up, as long as I get a bad roll on one of these. I won't burn a decent picture. $90, right there. That's where we make it back. I love this one, actually. Green Toad's there. We have some time. They call me the GOAT, the best of all time.
After I pulled an insane first try on photo finish, I knew that this was the run. With Granite Getaway up next, I had a minute to catch my breath since all I had to do in this minigame was jump over the rocks in the path for another win. Next up was a survival minigame, where I had to jump over the fireballs getting shot from either direction. There's a very big advantage to being in the center of the lineup because the fireballs cancel out when they hit each other, so when they meet in the middle you have an easier time jumping over them. Not only did I have a terrible spawn here, but my new controller was also starting to just ignore some of my A button inputs. This really started to fuck me up, and I failed my second attempt too.
Dude, oh, no, not now, not now. Please.
Luckily, on my third try, I did get a worse spawn, but I was able to just mash the A button as hard as possible when I needed to jump for another W.
Mwah! Mwah! Dude, I was sitting there with it pressed in my lap, like mashing the A button. I was pressing it so hard whenever that showed up.
The next mini game is one where Bowser hits this button and deletes parts of the floor. My goal is to just survive 30 seconds, with the time to get on the correct platform growing shorter after each time Bowser presses the button. The characters with big hitboxes like Bowser and Donkey Kong can be a bit annoying here, since they not only block the view but can also push you off. But luckily they fell off quickly and me and Birdo took the win. Shadow play is a weird one. You and your teammate have to each select a shape, with the two combining to match the shadow in the middle. The opponent's CPU can be crazy fast at this one, and the CPU on my team will normally wait until I select a shape to select theirs. So if I'm slow, we almost always lose the round. Peach was actually so goated this run, and even threw up a shape before me on one of the rounds, giving us a 3-0 victory. Another 2v2 was next, where the two teams compete to pick up matching cards and move through 4 rounds faster than the other team. This can be kind of luck-based depending on where the matching cards spawn, but me and Luigi got insanely lucky.
Hard hat, fish, flanker. Nice. Hard hat, fish, spiky. Great, just great luck on that pull. Beautiful. Bomb hammer. Dude, oh my fucking god, these are so good.
This next minigame was the last of the real time burners. It's the only boss fight I don't include in the luck games I play at the beginning of the run because, although it's long, it's always a guaranteed win since the CPUs play pretty shit. I did have a bad lineup on the last round, but I locked it in.
Dude, holy shit, I beat Peach by like a Zepto frame.
Jump the Gun is a 2v2, where one member of each team selects where to shoot the bullet bill, and the other teammate jumps between them, with both teams racing to the finish. Being on the shooter side is a huge advantage, because the CPU never miss a jump, so as long as I kept the bullet bills close enough to each other, Mario could jump to the finish first for another win. Next was the final survival minigame in the lineup, where the goal is to live for the full 30 seconds while dodging the holes in the ground and the cannonballs falling from the sky while Bowser chased after us. My strategy is to just stay on the sides of the pathway, because massive cannonballs fall in the center and are super hard to dodge. It was just me and Wario left at the end, and he actually died with 5 seconds left, saving me some time and granting me another win. In this minigame, it's a 2v2 to see who can get the most fruit into the correct receptacle. You move the fruit between the conveyor belts to hand them to your teammate, and even missing 2 fruits here, me and Peach were still able to pull off a win. Rocky Rope Race is probably the easiest game out of the entire lineup. All you have to do is press A to grab onto the little handles, let your partner swing to the next one, and then repeat. The enemy team plays pretty slow, so it's a free win, and one that I had no complaints with getting this late in the run. This next minigame is very dependent on what spot you get in the little flying car thing. One player controls the up and down motion, and the other controls left and right, with both teams racing to the finish. For some reason, the CPUs play way worse if they get put into the up-down position, so I was playing at a serious disadvantage here.
Mario, move, bro! Oh my god, we cut in front of him. Holy shit, Mario, you are throwing, bro. I've never seen a time loss that bad on this one, though. That's crazy. They got, like, hard stuck. Mario, what's that up-down? Why are we jittering this? You're supposed to be a master mode AI. Still won.
Me and Mario still took the win, and at this point in the run, I'd been playing so long that I had forgotten to add my counter, so I had no idea where I was in the minigame count. All I knew was that this was very close to the end.
This is a dupe. That's all of them. Ah! And with that, with a time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 39 seconds, I had the world record for Super Mario Party Jamboree
all winnable mini games, no motion games, CPU on master mode. This took me a week straight of just playing the game over and over again. I put in way too many hours. I wasted way too much time. And the one thing I learned was that I'm never speedrunning again unless I have some calling from above to do more. It was terrible. And some of those mini games, photo finish, hot cross blocks, gatekeepers, take them out. Remove them. They should never be played. I hate them with my entire being. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching me suffer. And if you want to give it a try, go try and beat my run. It's on speedrun.com. You can see the category. The run VOD is all there. So go give it a try. I wish you all luck. Thank you guys very much for watching.